Hey there, and welcome back to today's episode of Money Talks and So Do We. On today's episode, I'll be interviewing some of our UQES exec who have recently returned from both short and long-term exchanges. First up, I'm here interviewing Ashley, who's going to tell us about her recent exchange to the London School of Economics. So firstly, what can you walk us through the application process for summer semester at LSE?
Yeah, so you first had to apply through UQ to make sure that the courses that you can do in the future. So I'm doing BAFE, a Bachelor of Advanced Finance and Economics. We have flexible courses down the path. So we needed to make sure that I could get credit from the London School of Economics courses to kind of substitute for those. And once you got confirmation from UQ, then you could go and apply to through LSE through the like portal, and once you get like the confirmation from that, then you just put it into the UQ workflow website, and then you kind of just follow the steps after that.
And for a student aspiring to do an LSE semester exchange, what advice could you give them for booking flights or accommodation?
I'd recommend going to the halls. So I stayed at Carl Saunders Hall. The booking system's kind of a bit weird. I initially wanted to go to Parsfield Hall. It got sold out very quickly, but Carl Saunders is really great, a really underrated hall. I'd recommend. And with flights, I'd recommend to book them very early on.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, those would be my tips.
Yes. And what course did you actually take over there, and how did you find out about it?
I took the alternative investments courses. So we did private equity, hedge funds, real estate, all really interesting stuff. And I found out about it through older students who also did LSE.
And overall, would you recommend the experience or traveling to the UK as a whole?
Yeah, definitely. The UK is a really great place. It's like really multicultural in London. You get to meet all these different types of people. And I know for my cohort, a lot of people also went on this summer semester, and I feel like we all kind of bonded and got really close. So
Yeah, of course. And can you walk me through any travel you did after your exchange?
yeah, I went to Croatia and did a sail trip from Split to Dubrovnik,
Yes, yeah.
which was really good. We were like swimming every single day. And then after that, I went to Florence for like 3 days, and then Lake Como for another three. It was really good.
Nice, sounds lovely.
Yeah.
So now I'm here with Daniel, and he's going to talk about his exchange, semester-long exchange in Hong Kong back in Sem 2 of 2024.
Yep.
So can you walk me through the application process?
Sure. So, something that's really important to know is you ideally want to start thinking about a semester exchange a year before the time you want to actually do it. So, for example, semester two exchange for 2027 applications are now open and they close in October 31st. So, for me, I thought about doing an exchange in 2023 Sem 2 so that I could go in 2024 Sem 2. And so thinking about that the year beforehand and applying the year beforehand. The main thing there was just to make sure that you find a couple different host universities that you can go to. So based on what country you want to go to and also what universities offer the courses that you can do. And then it's a fairly lengthy process of choosing and figuring out what courses you can fit in your degree that you can do on exchange. If you have a more general degree that have a few free electives left, it's a bit easier. But for me, I was doing a double degree and it was a little bit less flexible. So I ended up having to choose subjects that were fairly similar to what I would have done here anyway. So I took some economic subjects and some statistics subjects, and I had to make sure that I picked universities that were able to offer me both of those things on exchange.
And which host university did you end up actually going with?
I went to the Chinese University of Hong Kong.
Nice. And when over there, were you staying in student accommodation or?
I lived off campus actually, but a lot of people do stay in student accommodation. But still, I got assigned to like a college of sorts. So similar to our colleges here at UQ, it's you still get access to all the activities usually you have in a college, even though I was staying away from campus.
And can you talk to me about what it was actually like living in Hong Kong?
Sure. Well, first things first is there's no backyards anywhere, and the living space is much smaller. But other than that, everything is just a lot more tightly packed and dense and everyone goes at a much quicker pace than you would be used to here. So that was a big adjustment. Just stepping off the plane and even getting into the metro station, you can feel the speed of the escalators are like twice as fast as what you'd expect here. And you see shops everywhere, people everywhere. So it's a very different experience. It's very much like you really feel the density, like as soon as you get out into the city.
Yeah, of course. And did you know anyone before doing the exchange, or did you go over there just meeting people as you went?
Yeah, I didn't know anyone that was going on exchange with me before. So a lot of it was just like on my first day at orientation in my host university, like meeting a lot of new people and meeting a lot of Aussies as well that were there as well. But yeah, it's a great time to meet new people. Yeah.
And so for any student like aspiring to do a semester-based exchange, would you recommend that they do like not let the fact that they don't know people going on exchange hold them back from doing an exchange?
Oh yeah, of course. I think like with any sort of exchange experience, really don't be afraid to just put your foot out there and go to the places that you really want to go, regardless of whether you know people there, whether you know the culture or you know language. A lot of the times, like you'll make great friends on exchange, and you have at least 6 months to make really great memories in your time of a semester exchange. So definitely just go wherever your heart takes you. I promise it'll be great regardless.
And talking about those great memories, could you just give us like one that sticks out that just says, that was my favorite moment during my exchange?
Favorite moment in exchange? Well, I met a couple people in exchange from Germany and America and New Zealand, and we all traveled to Beijing together, and we all went and hiked up the Great Wall, and there was
Oh,
great views, and it was really iconic. So that was amazing, and we had Peking duck. That was really awesome. So yeah, that was great memories.
Twizy, thank you so much for your time today, Daniel.
Perfect. Wow.
So, Kat, can you tell us about your trip and your application process?
Definitely. So the application actually was an online written application, and they ask you a bunch of questions about your intentions, if you have any startup experience, or why you're interested in the startup space, because this was Startup Adventures. It's a short-term global experience program by UQ Ventures. And essentially, you do the written application, and then if you get through to that stage, then you have a group interview.
Yeah.
After that, you'll get a letter of offer, and then you can choose whether to accept it or not. And this was in Singapore, if I haven't mentioned already.
Yeah, nice. And what sorts of things, like, can you walk through, like, what they were asking in that group interview? Like, what sort of things, well, like, can you just help us walk us through that process?
Definitely.
Sorry.
So the group interview was mostly just checking how you assimilate with the team and how, if you know how to work your way around different cultures and if you're just generally respectful. It was more so a behavioral interview than anything else. So if any of you have done a behavioral interview before, that's essentially what it was like. And the written application, again, just asked for what type of startup you would want to work at, or where your interests lie, what your past experiences are, and what you want to get out of this experience, and if you've had any experience before this as well in a global exchange program.
And can you talk about the startup that you were working for while you were over in Singapore?
Definitely. So I was working for a fintech company called Prio Shop. They were a B2B company, and essentially I was in their finance and product strategy team. So they wanted to become non-banking financial lenders for small to medium-sized businesses so that they can give products on credit, and for people that don't really have the documentation to go to a bank to do that.
Yeah, of course. And could you walk us through like a day in your life while over on exchange?
Oh, definitely. So we were staying at NUS, which is the National University of Singapore. It was really cool to stay at one of their dorms where actual university students in Singapore stay. And it was a group of 30 people, so we were pretty close together. We essentially woke up in the morning, and most of the people left for work around the same time, but some days you could also work from cafes, or we went to this co-working space. So we went there in the morning and just worked on our projects throughout the day, contacted and had meetings with our managers, and essentially we ended the workday and then we went out.
Yeah,
And
nice.
we went to hawker centers, we could go out to the bay, or we went to recycled around Singapore as well. That was quite cool.
Yeah, lovely. And can you talk more about like Singapore, like any sort of nightlife spots or like any highlights from your month over there?
Definitely. There is one nightlife spot called the Marquee, and that has a slide and a Ferris wheel inside that spot.
Nice. Yeah.
That's pretty cool, but I definitely recommend going to several different hawker centers because they're similar, but at the same time, they're quite different in what they're known for, especially because you have so many Michelin star
Yeah.
food places around you. And I also highly recommend all the Singaporean cafes, especially this place that sells pineapple bolo buns. I don't remember what it was called, but it was really good.
Yeah,
And
we'll
the
have to find that.
ambience was really nice as well. And that was mostly it. I think we also went to another hawker center where they had a lot of satay
Mhm.
and skewers that it was really known for.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend that. And the fact about Singapore is everything's open till so late.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's so safe to walk around late at night that it just makes you feel like you can do anything you want throughout the day.
Oh, nice. And then for any like students who'd be interested in this experience, like what's like the best piece of advice you could have for them?
I think if you're even mildly interested in the startup world, you should apply for this program. They can take you around Singapore, San Francisco, they do Vietnam and Shanghai as well. And I would just recommend being yourself, showing that you're interested in the startup space, seeing how any of the past experiences you have had can relate to the startup space, even if you've worked at a small business, for example, or what you want to achieve out of this experience.
Mm.
And so you're also allowed to travel all over the country that you are in. So if you go to Shanghai or Vietnam, you can travel to different cities within that country if on the weekends if time permits as well.
Yeah, nice. Tuesday, thanks so much for sharing your experience with us, Kat.
Hey everyone, I'm here with Gina now, who recently completed a semester-long exchange last semester. Hey Gina, hello. Do you want to tell us a bit about where you applied and what the application process was like?
Yeah. So I applied to Yonsei University in Seoul, South Korea at the start of the year. And the application process was definitely a long process in that I actually didn't leave, depart Australia until end of February this year, but I did start the official application process in May of last year. So it took like almost a year in like preparation. But in saying that, the actual like preparation process is very simple. It's just long. But any questions that you have, UQ has like a great team. It's the UQ Global Explorers team, I believe that's what it's called. And they can basically help answer any of your questions that you have. No question is too stupid. I definitely sent way too many questions in. I was like, what am I doing here? But they were very understanding, very helpful in structuring me through that process. But yeah, in terms of the actual application process, overall, it's just pretty long but simple. And once you actually get to the exchange, you realize that that whole long process is very worth it.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And so how did you organize all of the admin, like booking your flights, booking your accommodation? Did you stay on campus or?
Yeah. So in terms of travel, so getting to South Korea, I did make a very big mistake, which I've now realized and won't do ever again. But I wasn't quite sure of, so I knew the date that I was going to fly over there, but I didn't know the return date that I was going to come back, because I was probably thinking about doing some travel post exchange with a friend from Brisbane actually, and we hadn't quite decided the date that we were going to come home yet, but I was getting really anxious about booking my flight to try and keep the costs down. So I actually booked a one-way flight with a stopover in Singapore, which was not a great idea because you can definitely fly direct to Korea. But yeah, I booked a one-way flight. And then decided I would book the return flight back later, closer to the date. When I actually booked that, it ended up being a lot more expensive than if I had just done a full return flight. So I would definitely recommend that when you go and to book flights, just wait until you know your return date, so you can actually book that in a return sort of trip ticket. Because it really does actually change how much you spend on that flight. But yes, that's something that I definitely learned. So even if you're booking like a few weeks or even just a month before, I would definitely wait until you get your return date. I know one of my friends did actually book their flights like a few weeks before, and I was like, how have you not booked your flights yet? All worked out. It was fine. But yeah, so that's what I'd say about travel. But in terms of accommodation, I was lucky enough to live on campus in an international dorm, which was such an amazing experience because obviously in Australia it's not as much of a big thing to live on campus. So that was very, very, very fun. And the same thing, I did live in an international campus, international dorm, sorry. So everyone on my floor, everyone in my building, everyone surrounding me were all international students. They were all in the same boat as me. So it was very easy for me to make new friends, like very quickly. It was actually really great, thank goodness. Because yeah, you're all in the same boat. You've all come over from different countries, not knowing anyone, starting a new, fresh, basically, time in your life. But yeah, that application process specifically for Yonsei was just done through the Yonsei website. Very simple. If you do decide to go to Yonsei specifically, the actual accommodation on campus is very competitive. So you have to make sure you get on like immediately as soon as it opens. I almost didn't get a spot and I submitted the form within 5 minutes. So yeah, it has to be done very quickly. But yeah, definitely I would try very hard to get on campus living if you can when you go on exchange.
Okay, so recap, book your return flight if you can, go direct if you can, live on campus if you can, because you get to make friends and experience the whole university.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Do you want to tell us about the courses that you took?
Yeah, so I am a third year BAFE student right now at UQ, and as part of my degree, I get 4 general electives. I decided that I was going to do those 4 general electives overseas, and I had complete like flexibility on the subjects that I wanted to do, and also because I feel like I knew I wouldn't want to be actually studying really hard over there to get really good marks. So I ended up choosing to do. I did a Korean culture and Korean wave subject, which was basically learning about how Korea became about, a little bit of a history sort of subject, and then now the whole big sort of like craze over Korea and how it became very popular recently. And then I also did a marketing subject, which was actually really fun and actually quite easy. So it was a very simple, basic marketing course. But with that, the course actually gave me like opportunities to do brand deals with different brands every week, in that we get like fully, like we would get free stuff. Like we got free food, we got free perfume. I think we got some personalized things as well. Like it was crazy. It was amazing. So much fun. And then I also did a like Korean language course, but that one was an intensive Korean language course, so it sort of counted for 2 subjects instead of just the 1 subject. So my full subject load that I would have done at UQ, 4 subjects, I only did 3 at Yonsei because that Korean course was worth 2 subjects. In terms of like difficulty, all of them were very easy, except for the language one, because obviously learning a language is quite difficult, no matter how hard you try or how much energy you put into it. Yeah, in terms of difficulty, all of them were taught in English, because obviously Korea is not an English-speaking country. So you had to make sure you picked subjects that were taught in English, and most of the time were then available to exchange students. So all of my subjects that I did had only exchange students in them, and they were all taught in English. So it's very different to sort of an exchange that people might have had in like Europe or America and English-speaking countries, where they're fully in with the people who live there, basically. Whereas for me, it was very much like you were kind of spending all your time with international students, which is kind of annoying, but at the same time, I think it's like understandable, so you can actually learn.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, those subjects sound really, really interesting, so that's great. And I know you did a little bit of travel within South Korea. You didn't go to other countries while you were there, but where would you recommend people go within Korea in terms of travel destinations and maybe any like cool places that you went as well?
Yeah. So I know you did say that I didn't go anywhere outside of Korea within the semester. But in saying that, I do know a lot of people who did go on like different holidays throughout the semester, either on the weekends or things like that. Lots and lots of people were going outside the country to all different places in Asia, like China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Japan, all the places.
Right.
I didn't personally leave, but if that's something that you wanted to do, that you could definitely do that. But yeah, I did a lot of travel within Korea. So after the exchange, I did have my friend from Brisbane come over, and we went on like kind of like a little tour around Korea, around the outsides of it. And we went to two quite popular tourist destinations. One which is called Busan, which is all the way down the bottom. And actually from there, we didn't do this, but it is possible that you can get $100 overnight ferry over to Japan from there. So if that is interesting for anyone, that's definitely an option. But I didn't do that. But yeah, so that place is also very touristy, so lots of people speak English, so very easy to get your way around. And then we also went to Daegu, which is another sort of city place, a little bit less English spoken. But then we also went to a few quite small towns where basically no one spoke English, and everyone would come up to us and be like, "What are you doing here?" And we're like, "Honestly, I couldn't tell you." But yeah, so I went to the Samcheok, which is like sort of like a beach area, and then Yeosu, which is also down the bottom, and then Gwangju. I think those were the three smaller town areas. I've actually been to Korea before, so that's why I was kind of comfortable with going around the country into smaller areas. But I think for someone who's first traveling to Korea, might not be as easy for them. But in saying that, Korea is a very safe country, despite the war that's happening, but it's very much not a threat at all. So yeah, it's a very safe country, and it has such an amazing nightlife. So overall, I think that it's definitely an amazing place to travel, if not exchange. But yeah, specifically Yonsei University, though, it's in a spot that is very close to a lot of other universities. And so that area that it's in, the suburb's called Shincheon, and it's got, I think, 3 other universities in that area. So that area is very much a young demographic area. So lots of people walking around will be the same age as you. And also there's a lot of international students in that area. So it was definitely very easy to fit in, sort of, and yeah, make lots of new connections. It was a great experience. Yeah.
Do you remember the name of any like restaurants that were near your account that you really liked?
Well, there was this one restaurant that we went to, we basically went there because it was really cheap. And so our accommodation on campus didn't actually have food included, which was why the accommodation was so cheap. I think it ended up being like something like $10 a night or something.
Wow.
It was crazy cheap, but it's also like a very cheap Asian country. But yeah, so it didn't have food included, but that was fine because we kind of just went out for dinner every night because going out is so easy and cheap. But one specific place that we went to, it's called Kimbap Jungkook, which means, I think it's also kimbap is like a type of, it's basically like a Korean version of sushi, sort of. And then it's like this restaurant is a chain, and it's run by like these really nice old ladies, and they have chains everywhere, and they're so sweet, but they don't speak English at all. And so my friends who spoke Korean, they would basically do all the ordering for us. But the like food was so good. They had such big menus. It's very much Korean restaurant. And the foods each were like $4 each. So it was like so cheap. So that was our go-to option whenever we wanted a cheap meal, which was basically every day.
Yeah, no, it sounds like all the food was amazing and cheap, and also everything's open so late.
Yes.
So that's a big
A
plus.
lot of 24-hour restaurants.
Well, thank you, Gina.
Yes.
It's been amazing to talk to you about your exchange.
And lastly, I'm here with Darcy. He's going to talk about his recent experience with iLead in the UK. So, Darcy, can you walk me through the application process?
Yes, the application was quite interesting for me because one of my friends actually introduced me to the program. And so he had gone through the application himself. And what we had to do is we had to just submit a little form to tell us about ourselves. And then we had this group interview with about 10 people. It was just over Zoom. And so we had to do like a pitch. We had to go through and introduce ourselves. But because I had a friend who had already done it, I already knew what to expect. So the application for me wasn't too hard. And I was very lucky to get in. But it is quite competitive. I don't know how many applicants. There was a lot of applicants. I only knew one person on my call who actually got onto the trip.
Yeah.
So it did mean that everyone on the trip were just amazing. Because on the trip we had 20 people, and they were all over Australia, all over from different degrees, from Sydney, from Melbourne. Some were studying law, some were studying finance, so some were doing arts. So it was a very diverse group.
Of course. And for any students interested in doing the iLead program, what are some tips that you can give them as they head in towards the application process?
Yes, definitely. Don't be afraid to speak first. It's always awkward, especially on Zoom, because you don't have that social cues. So just be like confident and just talk first, and you'll look good, to be honest. That's the big thing. Be open-minded. Also, obviously, some people don't talk enough, but also some people talk too much. So don't be that person who's talking all the time. Be respectful, be present, and you'll do well.
And what were you looking to get out of this iLead program when you signed up?
Yeah, for me, I really believe in like experiences, and that's what shapes you as a person. It's all about the stories you have and the opportunities you get. And the more places you go, the more opportunities you get. So for me, I was just like, what I'm going to do this holidays, why not just throw my hat in the ring? I'm a first year, so this is a good opportunity to learn something and also go somewhere and have an experience that will be life-changing. And I really believe it was life-changing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And can you give us like a brief overview of your time in the UK?
Yeah, so I was actually, the beautiful thing about iLead is it's a 10-day trip, but you don't have to just be there for the 10-day trip.
Yeah.
So I got there 3 days early and I just solo traveled. So I was staying at a hostel in Westminster. It was fun. I literally did 100,000 steps in 3 days. Went to Big Ben, Tower, everywhere you could think of. I even went to like Paddington Bear's house.
Yeah.
So that was amazing. And then I had the 10-day trip. And so I'll give you some highlights. On the first day, we went to ANZ. And we met the head of corporate finance. We met all their directors. They taught us all about the company. And the best part of being at ANZ was they're opening a new subsidiary. And funny enough, just before we were about to do this pitch, they were asking us if we had signed NDAs. But luckily, it got leaked by Bloomberg, so I'm allowed to tell you this. But ANZ's opening a new subsidiary in Europe.
Yeah.
And so because of European regulations, they have to have a new bank.
Yes.
And so we got to pitch on new ideas for that subsidiary that they could actually use in the future. That was just like amazing.
Yeah.
So we were literally presenting in front of the heads of ANZ, and it was just like, wow. Then the next day we went to HSBC, and HSBC is really established in the UK.
Yeah, of course.
Massive. And we got to meet managing directors, a bunch of directors. The best part, we got to walk through the trading floor of HSBC. And it was like, it wasn't at night or anything. It was the middle of the day. Everyone was still trading. It was like mind blowing. You're seeing 6 to 12 screens on some of these desks. It's like, what is going on? They were giving us funny looks because we're just teenagers, young adults walking through the trading floor. Then the next days, the first 4 days were just amazing. And I will say the people on the trip were just the best. Like they were so confident, so friendly. You could be friends forever with these people. You could hang out with them. Like literally in 2 months, I'm going to see them all again. We're having a reunion. That's all just scheduled for us because we just got on so well.
Yeah, nice.
We went to Oxford and Cambridge and met some MBA students.
Yeah.
And the best part was had the like MBA introduction, and there was this one MBA student who just liked us so much. She gave us a full tour of Oxford.
Oh,
And like literally like a private tour. We went to the Oxford Union, which is infamous. The stories there were just like, wow.
Yeah.
Like one of the stories was they have this library and there's this dungeon underneath the library, and it had been sealed off because what had happened is some students got drunk one night.
Yeah.
They went to the dungeon and they had these $1 million books. So they got all the Scientology books, took them to the courtyard and burnt them all.
Oh, okay.
And that's like millions of pounds worth of books. So they had to seal that off and no one's allowed to go down there. And we got to see like Einstein had been there. There was like, every prime minister in the UK has been there at least once. Tony Abbott's been there. There's like
just history in the
photos.
building.
It was like amazing.
Yeah.
Like I was shocked. That was just one part of that tour. We went to so many places and he just showed us everywhere because he'd been living there for 9 months.
Yeah.
Then Cambridge was amazing as well. We went punting, which there's a river through Cambridge where it's shallow enough where they have these long sticks and you get to go through Cambridge and they push you on these, with a long stick. And like, it was amazing. I had a friend, she had like applied to be in Cambridge. So she knew all about Cambridge. She was like, look over there, that's Trinity College and it's worth 2.4 billion. And I was like, this is like a college where students just live. It's not the university.
Yeah.
And the tour guide said that the college was so rich that you could walk from the ocean all the way to Cambridge and never leave Trinity land. That's how much land they own.
Oh, God. Yeah.
So then another day, this is the last thing.
Yeah, no.
There's a bunch more other things we did as well, but one highlight was we had this leadership race. And so we had to run around London and we had to go to like Big Ben. And the thing is, we had to get strangers to take a photo with us.
Yeah.
So the challenge would be take a photo with 12 strangers outside Big Ben. And so you'd just be running around asking strangers, hey, we're trying to get a photo for a uni project, or we're just making things up just so they get in their photo.
Yeah.
And so we went to 16 different places across London in 8 hours, all like the big tourist spots, and got photos with like not hundreds, tens of strangers. It was amazing. We made good friends. Best trip of my life.
Yeah, wow.
Yes.
Awesome. So earlier in the episode, we heard of like Ashi's experience living in London 3 weeks.
Yes.
Can you give us like maybe some highlights from like specifically like London life there? So anything that stands out for you that you tell people?
What was amazing was when we went, obviously the World Cup was on.
Yep.
And England got to the semi-finals.
Yes,
and so I got to watch 3 or 4 games while in England, in London. And so we go to, like, you'd walk around. I remember I was walking through Canary Wharf at 7 o'clock at night for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And the game was on and I was like, oh, we have to watch it. I was with a Japanese friend that I met from the hostel.
Yes, yeah.
A random guy. And so every single pub we walked by, completely packed. And like the energy was incredible.
Yeah.
Like everyone loves football because it's the UK. And so we got to watch 3 games with England. We got to watch the semi-finals. That was devastating.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
obviously England didn't make it. Imagine that football came home when we're in England.
Yeah,
That would be
football coming
crazy.
yard, crazy.
So we were just watching the games all the time. That was my highlight, honestly, outside of the program. Because we had time outside after like the days when we go to Cambridge, we could go after and do whatever we want. So we were literally sleeping 2 hours a night.
Yeah.
And we were just like hanging out in rooms. We were going to London at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the best.
Yeah,
Seriously.
that's the way to do it, isn't it?
Amazing, yeah.
And is there any like parting words you can give to people who would be looking to do this ILE program, or something maybe you want to convince them of this program? Like, what would you have to say?
Yes, definitely. Some advice if anyone does go on the program.
Yeah.
Definitely be open-minded. Like I said for the application, don't be afraid to like speak first. Put your hand up, ask a question, because you can learn so much. Like if you're on LinkedIn as well, be like sociable, connect with people on LinkedIn. Now I have like 50 connections in London.
Of course, yeah.
They know who I am. I messaged them. I was like, it was really nice meeting you. Now, when I go back to London, I can always reach back out to them. So if anyone's like thinking, is a trip worth it? It's a win-win, because if you want to get a job potentially in the future in London, it's going to help you immensely. If you want to get a job here, you can talk about that trip and you go like, if you apply to ANZ, I met the head of corporate finance of ANZ in London. You got to be like, who is this kid?
Yeah, exactly.
And also it was like a trip of a lifetime. It was a holiday and I learned so much. So if you're unsure, like in my opinion, you can never go wrong with traveling, because you'll never look back and go, why did I travel? You'll just go back and go, why didn't I travel? So those are my words.
So that's a beautiful way to finish, Darcy.